Well, hello guys, welcome back to John's Workshop, and in this video, something very rare for this channel, we're going to be doing a product review. So I'm just going to run through. So this is a new compressor that I've bought for the channel and for the workshop. So if anybody's found this video as a result of just a search on the product, this is a small engineering workshop run from home, and this is to help me in the workshop, something I've been needing for quite some time. So feel free to go around and have a look at what else is on the channel if you're new here. And for all my regular viewers, most of you will know that I don't use compressed air and haven't used compressed air since the start of the channel. I've always managed without it, and the time's come to now improve my capability by getting some compressed air in the workshop, which is going to be handy, albeit not massively. I'm not going to be a big user of this. So this isn't sponsored in any way, shape or form. This is paid for out of my own hard-earned money. So if it's absolutely crap, I will tell you it's absolutely crap. But I've done quite a bit of research around various other YouTube channels and internet searches around different products available. I've looked into, I want something small, compact, that packs enough punch for what I want to do. I want something that's as quiet as possible because I film in here and I don't want a rattling, noisy compressor. Now, this is marketed, would you believe, as a silent compressor on some of the websites, which is absolute nonsense. It's not going to be silent, but it should be quieter than a regular piston compressor, hopefully. So, in terms of use cases, what am I going to use it for? I've no intention to be plasma cutting or anything like that, so don't need that CFM, that high CFM for that type of application. Don't intend using any air tools, which are also very hungry in terms of airflow. Not going to be doing any spraying of any sort in here. So literally my use cases are the odd blowdown of tooling, things like that, and if I've manufactured parts that have got lots of holes in, just to clean the holes out, that kind of thing, and one or two other light uses. So I don't need a whacking great big compressor at this point in time. What I'm also going to do, I've got an old compressor that I've had for about 30 years, and it was second hand when I bought it, so I have no idea how old it is. I don't want to use it anymore. It doesn't really work that well, makes lots of horrible noises, and I am quite nervous about the state of the tank because it's just not been maintained. So it's got a 20 litre tank on it. It's a horrible old noisy thing. So what I'm going to do is put these two things side by side, switch them both on at the same time, and we'll see just how silent the new compressor is compared to a regular standard small garage workshop type piston compressor. So we'll be doing a bit of that as well. So enough babbling, let's dig in and see what we've bought. Okay, so as delivered, not had the box open yet, came with just one strap on it rather than two, which I would have expected it to have, but who knows. Probably explains why the parcel delivery guy was struggling to carry this up the driveway. So that's the make and model number. I'm not going to do an unboxing video. Lots of videos on YouTube showing you how to open a cardboard box and take things out of it. So I'll get it all unboxed, get it up onto the workbench, and I'll bring you back when we've seen how it's packaged and what's inside. Okay, so what was in the box? Well, there's the compressor unit itself. This is as it's come out of the box minus the packaging, so largely assembled. There is a set of instructions that have been screwed up and not the easiest to read based on that. That's pretty crap Hyundai. There's enough room in the box to not have to do that to those, but still readable. There is an air filter that does all of the magic that makes this quiet, and that gets screwed in at the intake at this end. A set of wheels, so two wheels, fairly heavy duty, fairly robust by the feel of them, plastic with rubber tyres, a couple of rubber bump stops with bolts for the other end, a couple of fairly heavy duty axles for the wheels, couple of Euro connectors, which this has got two Euro connector quick release outlets on it, on the regulator, and a pea shooter of some description, which I'm presuming is for attaching to the drain down valve or something like that. Not got that far into the instructions yet. So I'm going to crack on. You guys don't need to watch me doing nuts and bolts up. That's not really exciting stuff. So I'm going to get the wheels on, get the air filter fitted, get the rubber feet fitted, and then I'll bring you back at that point when we're ready to think about plugging it in, getting it on the floor, sighting it, plugging it in and switching it on and see what it sounds like. Okay, so we've got our wheels on, we've got our bump stops on the other end, and for some bizarre reason on the wheel axles they give you for this, they give you some spacers on a standard like shouldered bolt that's obviously off another model I would think, and they put a spacer in so that the wheels don't foul against the side of the tank, but unfortunately the spacer they've given you is a good 6mm too short. So assembled as per the instructions, there's a good 6mm of waggle on these wheels, which for something that's going to be, I don't know, it might be alright. It just, yeah, build quality is not brilliant on this, I've got to be honest, but it was cheap, so can't expect too much. The next thing I've spotted, which is really I don't know whether, I'm presuming this is cost saving, but really poor and probably this thing's weakest point so far. I'll just show you that now. So this comes with a UK 3-pin plug, standard 3-pin plug, but you know, that's to the plug from where it goes in is just past my shoulder, so it's the length of my arm in terms of cable. Utterly useless if you've got sockets up on the wall at kind of standard socket height. That means you're going to need to get an extension lead to plug that in, or you're going to need to sit this on something to get it up off the ground if you want to use it straight in the wall. So yeah, that's pretty poor. They could have put an extra, I don't know, 500mm or something on there just so that it would get up to a decent socket height. But it is what it is. It was, as I said, cheap. Yeah, really, that's what you get, you get what you pay for, I guess. Okay, just before we do the comparison, I thought I'd just show the other side of the unit. So we've got two pressure gauges, one for tank pressure and one for regulated pressure with this regulator unit here. It's also got a water trap on the regulated air, and obviously a pressure switch which is monitoring tank pressure for controlling the unit switching on and off to regulate, you know, to keep the tank pressure where it needs to be. As I said earlier, this isn't a piston unit, this is a diaphragm unit, so you've got a motor in the middle with two diaphragm units, so there's a crank running right the way through the motor with a conrod on each end driving two diaphragm units, and the pressure from that will run, so you've got your air intake this end, pulls air in through the two diaphragm units, and then your air pressure exits here and goes into the tank. Around on the other side there's a capacitor starter for the motor, and that's literally everything on the unit. I've just attached a flexible airline that I've bought for this. I need to get a gun for the other end of it, which I'll rake out of, I've got one kicking around somewhere. I'll rake that out and get that put on the other end, and then we'll get them put side by side and see if this really is super silent. It's certainly going to be silent at the minute, but I can't blooming plug it in. Well done, Hyundai. Okay, so we've got our new compressor that you've seen. We've got our very old compressor that I've spoken about. So this is probably an 8 litre tank, something like that, 10 litres, don't really know, no markings on it. This is a 24 litre tank, I think I should have said that earlier and didn't on the new one. We've got them both switched on. they're both 1.5 meters away from where you guys are just sitting at the moment. The only microphone I've got is the one in the camera, so that will be a good test. And what I'm going to do is switch them both on simultaneously using the socket on the wall, which you're not supposed to do, but that's what we're going to do just for this test. And then I'm going to walk over here and switch off the new one, and you should then be able to hear the old one, or maybe not because it's super silent. And then we'll do the reverse of that and we'll just see what they sound like together. Now I'm going to have to edit the sound down to save all of your eardrums, but it will be universally edited down for both, so you will still get a like for like comparison between a regular piston type compressor and a diaphragm super silent compressor. So without any further ado, I'm going to come and stand over where you guys are and press the switch, and we'll listen to what happens. Okay, here we go then. In 3, 2, 1. Well, I think that's quite clear. So I'm still talking over the top of the new compressor. It's hard to tell, but it's at least half as quiet, if not a bit more. Really impressed with that. That is nice and quiet. Obviously when I'm filming I'm going to need to be shutting it off, but yeah, different world. So we've attached an airline up to this, and already that's getting up to pressure very, very quickly. So that's already at 70 psi in a couple of minutes, or not even that. So I'm going to switch it all off and we'll come back and talk about what we've heard. Okay, so let's just summarise. So a couple of things not yet spoken about. The regulator here is quite nice. It's a pull action to unlock it, and then just like a normal regulator you can then alter the pressure of your output to your lines. So that's quite nice if you need to knock the pressure back for something lower pressure. What I did do was took it up to full pressure, which got up to about 110 psi, something like that, and I left it for an hour and checked the pressure gauges again, and there was absolutely zero loss of pressure, so there's no leaks anywhere in the system, so that's good. So everything must be assembled reasonably well. Let's summarise the good bits. So, you know, the noise, is it silent? No. Is it super silent? No. But is it quiet? Absolutely. World of difference from a regular compressor. Even, you know, I've been in industrial environments where we use big hydrovane compressors units, and alright, they're massive, they're huge units, so they do make a noise, but yeah, comparable kind of output, really quiet for what it is. So on that front, very good. Finish quality's pretty good, build quality a little bit poor in places, like I mentioned about the wheels, but does it really matter? No. The thing doesn't jump about on the floor when it's running, so you know, not really a problem. Yeah, well, what can I say? It's good. I think, you know, the Achilles heel, as we said, is this. That's really rubbish. If they'd put a decent length lead on it, this would be absolutely cracking for the money. And as much as it doesn't really matter the state this turned up in, all screwed up inside a bag, zip tied to the top of the unit. Really no need for that. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's just one of the little touches when you buy something brand new and you take your instructions out and they're all screwed up like they've been run over by a car. It just doesn't give the right first impressions when you get something out of box. If we want to do a bit of greenwashing, I think that's the latest terminology for it. So we're all saved because I've now planted a tree. So the Hyundai plant a tree for every new bit of power equipment that gets bought from them, which I guess is a good thing in terms of the state our planet's in. And hopefully if they're selling thousands and thousands of these, they're honouring that commitment and really doing that. So I guess that's good. What else to say about it? It's a compressor, you know, there's not a lot to do with it other than use it. Oh, last final thing that I thought was really nice. When you get down to about 5 psi or even less, the drain on the water trap here is actually spring loaded. So it springs up, and so this is almost, well it is, it's an auto draining facility. So when you're running your compressor down by taking the drain valve open at the bottom, as you should do each time you run a compressor down to drain the tank, when you get down to low pressure, this valve will open, and if you've got any water trapped in there out of the air, it will automatically eject it all over the top of the tank, which is a bit of a shame because I'm sure that will make it look a mess after a while. But it is nice that it's auto draining. You don't have to remember to go and drain your water traps. Yeah, I think that's about all I can say about it. I am totally happy with it for the price I paid. It's lovely and quiet. It's going to be really good in the workshop. A lot cheaper than, I was looking at the Bambi compressors that have got like the fridge type compressor units on the top of them, which are also very, very quiet but horrendously expensive units to buy. Obviously in a different quality league completely from these, used in medical environments mainly, but for what I want, this is super. It's going to serve the purpose well, and looking forward to using it. So all I need to do now is find somewhere to put it and sort this nonsense out so that I can plug it into something without having to have extension cables trailing all over the floor. So with all that being said, I will bring you back to the board and we'll close this episode out. Well, there we go guys, that's the end of and I'm calling this a product review. It really isn't a product review. I'm a big believer in, you cannot review a product when you've just taken it out of the box. You review a product when you've got some miles on the clock and you've been using it for a significant period of time, whatever it is. That's when you really know whether it's good, bad or indifferent. So, but in terms of an initial product review, which is what this is it worth the money? I guess is the first question, in case anybody else wants to buy one of these things. Knowing what I know now and what I've seen, would I spend the money that I've just spent on this? And I've not touched on that yet, so it was about £170 I think for this unit. And to put that into perspective, that noisy old thing that we compared it with, I think I paid £40 for that 30 years ago second hand. So it's pretty good value really. Would I buy it again knowing what I know now? Based on what I've seen so far, absolutely. Really quiet, neat, tidy, compact, lightweight. You can move it around. It's got wheels on it if you need to get it out on the driveway, pump your tyres up, whatever. Easy to manhandle. Yeah, I'd definitely buy that again if I was faced with the same challenge of needing one and knowing what I know from what I've seen already. The long-term review will be how it performs over time and whether anything breaks, goes wrong, starts leaking, and I'll keep you posted if that's the case. So yeah, really pleased with that. It's gonna mean a lot for me in terms of what I want to do in the shop and what I've been struggling around without any kind of compressed air in here. And there was one use case in particular that I didn't touch on. I want to start looking at putting some oil or coolant misting devices onto a couple of my machines, which is one of the main drivers for me getting this, so that I can do that, so I'm not forever squirting coolant with a hand bottle on all of the machines. It's only certain ones that I want to apply this to, but that's going to now enable me to do some stuff like that as well. So yeah, happy with that. As I said, 170 odd quid if you want to translate that into American, add 15%, into Australian, double it, you'll be somewhere near the mark in terms of the cost. Yeah, very, very good for the money. Can't grumble with what I've seen so far. So I hope that's been useful to somebody. If somebody's in the same position, I wouldn't say I would recommend it, because I don't have enough miles on the clock to do that, but based on what I've seen and what it is, you can't really go wrong at that money, is what I would suggest. And you get to plant a tree, which is all good. So thank you all very much for watching. Thank you to the subscribers and the new subscribers that have come along, and we'll catch you all very soon on another video when we'll be making something else with compressed air.